Hello everyone, my name is Raven and welcome to my Hero Engine tutorial series. In this tutorial we are going to be covering terrain and how it works and how to edit it inside of Hero Engine. Now, this is a several part tutorial series, and as we go through we'll eventually cover every single bit, but in this bit we're just going to cover edit height, raise and lower, soften, level ramp, and right here are brushes. We'll cover the rest in another tutorial, or several. Okay, so if you don't have the terrain interrupt, you can get to it through a variety of ways. I have mine stacked here with all my other panels. You can click the terrain tool, which will pop up right here, or should do anyways. Alternatively, you can go to Windows and then Terrain. Okay, so the first thing we're going to cover is right here. If you middle mouse, you can see that this gets larger. This shows the size of the brush. And you can also use the slider as well if you'd like. Right here we have the hardness of the brush, and this is used for not only painting, well, it's used for everything really. And it essentially sets the strength that the brush is. So like right now, if we set it to raise, it's at max, and when we go, it really raises the terrain really high very fast, whereas if we have it really low, it will go much slower. Okay, so before we cover those tools, right here we have brush patterns, and we will cover those in another tutorial. Here we have soft fall off, which is the default, which gives a soft edge. We have conical fall off, which gives a sharp edge, as you can see. And then we have no fall off whatsoever. Okay, and then you have two types of brushes. You have the circular brush and the rectangular brush. And then you can turn off the influence by checking show influence. As you can see, it shows what's going to be affected. Set that to soft again by the terrain. Next you have Slinky, and I will try to show you this, but essentially when it's on, let's see, yes, you can kind of see it right there. It essentially makes it so that the brush can edit areas when it's not actually touching the terrain. Next we have Flash on Select, which will flash whenever we have the texture selected. We can switch over to Texture Painter. No, we won't see it, but you'll see it. There it is. Next we have Color Only. This is useful for the paint color, and we'll cover this later. And we have Too Steep, which we will actually show later in this tutorial. Okay, the next thing I want to cover is this right here, because we'll be using this quite extensively throughout the series. Essentially what this does is, as you can see, the entire terrain right now is glowing, and this is the area of effect. This is very useful for like when you're painting grass or textures. If you've ever used CryEngine, you know about this. It essentially sets the slope at which the texture can actually go on. But unlike CryEngine, this also affects the brushes as well as the texture painter. And it's also not set to the material like it is at CryEngine. You can change it up as much as you'd like, as often as you'd like. So like right now, I'll just move this just a little bit, and now I can't do anything. You can see the Slinky as I desperately try to raise the terrain. And then I can turn it back. There you go. Alright, so the first tool we have here, actually I want to cover one more thing. We covered middle mouse as being the hotkey for making the brush bigger. If you hold down Control while middle mouse, you can adjust the hardness. Okay, so the first tool we're going to cover is Edit Height, and this one is very simple. You've seen me do it several times now. You just left mouse and you can drag it up or down, and you create a nice little hilly mountain. Alright, and before we go any further, this should be enough to cover the Too Steep option. Now, what this does is, this marks areas that you can't walk on, and I'll jump over to the play view, and you can see that our player can't walk up this. This is very useful for determining, obviously, areas that the player can and can't go, and you don't want them to go. And let's go back to fly view. Alright, I'm going to turn that off, and I'm just going to undo our terrain. Next, we have the edit height. Or sorry, not the edit height, the raise lower tool. And as you can see, it has shift, which is lower, because left click raises. And you can also see the tooltips down here, and we'll just lower it and then raise it up a bit. Now, we have another option called control, which is bypass. Sorry, it's called bypass. And that means if we hold control, it won't do anything. If we let go, it'll start raising the terrain again. Alright, let's put this there. Alright, so the next option is soften, and it opens up quite a few things, and you can play around with these to get a feel for, which one works best for you. The default one is soften or smooth, if you've used in a variety of other terrain editors. Then you have hydraulic erosion, which you can also adjust the area of effect, thermal erosion, habit erosion, unspike, which attempts to unspike your height map, push and pull. If you push, sorry about that, you can push and it will obviously make a nice little canyon in the height map. Not really sure what I was going to call that. And you can pull it to you. Okay. Next you have mean level, which levels it out. It's also kind of useful for the creation of ramps. However, there is an actual ramp tool, but this would be quite useful for going through and smoothing out. Next you have canyon carver, which, as you can see, made some nice little plateaus, but didn't really actually create a very nice canyon. That's okay. And then next you have slope smoothing. And now we have ourselves a nice little hill. Alright. The next tool we're going to cover is the Flatten Tool, and obviously it works. You just, any area you want, let's say we want it at this height, we'll left click, and then we can obviously very quickly make the whole entire height map that area. But let's go ahead and flatten all this away. Alright. Now this is the, I'm going to flatten this out. This also is the ramp tool. Now, if we hold shift, you'll see we get this nice lovely grid, and I'll zoom out a little bit. If we middle mouse, you can see we can adjust the angle, and as it says right here when you hold over the tooltip, control shift rotates it, and shift click will reset it. Now, if we hold control, we can rotate it. So we want our ramp to go down in this direction. And then with shift, we will angle it down. And then we will just click drag. And we'll just go nice and slow. And there you go. You have a nice lovely ramp. And we'll shift click to reset it. Then we can just use our soften tools to make it all nice and neat. And there you go. Now you have a ramp. And one other very useful bit, if you, if you, let's put it back this way. If you go, say, towards yourself, as you can see, it goes down. But if you go back up, you can create a ramp that's going back up. There we go. Okay, so that concludes part one, and the next part we will cover actually creating a new height map. And the reason I didn't do it in this tutorial is because we're going to cover stitching edges together, cutting holes, splitting the height map, and billboards. Alright, so I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. If you have any questions about Hero Engine, please stop by their forums. If you have any questions about this tutorial specifically, stop by mine, or one of the other various other methods in the description of how to get a hold of me. As well, join the Facebook or Steam group. And if you'd like to keep up to date with what I'm doing, please follow me on Twitter. I do Twitter what I'm doing and when new tutorials will be coming out. Thank you, and I hope you guys enjoyed it.